Good morning, everyone. How is everybody? How about the rest of you? There we go. Okay. It feels like it's been an unending stream of celebration and spiritual invigoration. And the weeks seem peculiar, the way the days line up this year. I don't know if it isn't like this most years, but we feel like we're a little bit caught in between right now as we do Sunday service. Because we've had Christmas, but here we are celebrating Christmas. The tree is still up. New Year's is going to come in just a few days, and then it will be over before we have our next Sunday service, and then Yogananda's birthday is but a couple days after that. And so we're kind of in this odd thing where we're celebrating all these different elements kind of all jumbled up together, which is actually not all that bad. It's pretty darn sweet. You know, for me, and I don't know about the rest of you, but for me this has been a particularly poignant and beautiful holy season. It started for us formally, not like most of our culture with Halloween. It started actually with World Brotherhood Day. And World Brotherhood Day came in the midst of the refugee crisis over in Europe and the Middle East. And we are so insulated. We are so protected and so insulated. Our lives are so sheltered from the kind of horrors that so many people have as a daily experience on this planet. We have, and never presume on this, enormously good karma and enormous amount of grace in our lives. But it's a reminder that the beautiful gesture of world brotherhood, it's a reminder that the troubles that we have in this world come from egoic divisiveness of consciousness. Say that 3 times fast. It comes from us being self-involved and looking out and seeing differences in others and in the world and judging them. And of course, judging them less than our own point of reference. And from that really comes all the host of sorrows and pains and sadnesses. And so, for those who are willing to listen to a different tune, for those who are willing to change their point of reference, there is enormous need in this time. And really, these masters are harbingers of that change. Yogananda said he came to unite East and West, to help show not the differences between, but the commonalities of all the aspiration that's out there. And then we went into Thanksgiving, and it was a beautiful Thanksgiving. It was just so filled with the divine presence. And then we had we had the concert here, the beautiful musical concert here. And we've had meditations. We had 2 8-hour meditations. And again, for those who attended it, they were just filled with divine presence. And then we had the Christmas Eve services and the creche. We've had more than one person say that creche scene was one of the most profound and touching Christmas services of their entire lives. It was just over the top. And the midnight service where there's that anticipation, that hush, and the quiet and the beautiful music that was infused into the moments of that evening, and then the morning meditation, and then the sharing together. And in the midst of that, you know, we've had 20 inches of rain. We've almost set a record of rain. Bless you. We've almost set a record of rain. And, you know, we had the roof blow off of one of our main buildings at Ananda Center at Laurelwood, and all the drama around that. And, you know, it's been just churning. And now we're past Christmas, and we're looking at the new year. And Yogananda was very, very strong about emphasizing the new year, because what it represents, both physically in this world but also spiritually, is that capacity and possibility to regenerate, to be renewed. There was a bumper sticker, I haven't seen it for a long time, but it's one of my favorite bumper stickers ever. It said, "Born again Christian, born again and again and again and again and again. And here we are. And, we can take it as a conversation about reincarnation, and it certainly is. But I'd like to invite those in this room to take it a step deeper. Because just, reincarnation's like going to sleep and waking up in the morning. These children, I don't know who else does Facebook, but there are so many examples of extraordinary talent and capacity in being expressed through children that have had no time to develop those capacities. It has to be a vestige of where they left off last life, and they're just picking it back up again. And it's true for all of us. Think about it. You go to bed last night, you get up this morning, and you're essentially the same. You've processed some things, but you're essentially the same, and you wake up with the talents you went to bed with. They may be a little bit more refined from that digestive process, but that's just what happens. But think about how little you feel changed by having gone to bed and waking up in the morning. You feel less fatigued, and maybe some things resolve themselves inside of you, but it's really not enough. It's really not enough to just go to bed and get up in the morning, because the same anguishing monotony of the same things are just there. And look back on your life, those of you who have had enough life to look back upon. Sorry, Mary. You'll have this chance coming up. Look back across your lifetime and how the enormous things that loomed so large have just passed. And something else has loomed large and caught the attention, but it's just been this unending flow of oh my God, and oh, whew, and oh my God, and whew, and just on and on. The rebirth that's being promised, the regeneration that's being promised by the Masters and by our lives, the invitation of spirituality, isn't a rebirth into one more round, one more cycle. It's into a perspective that puts everything, it's into an experience that puts everything into perspective. It's into the experience of our oneness with joy, our oneness with love, our oneness with the divine consciousness that sees this entire drama exactly the way it's supposed to be seen. It's like reading a good book. Think about if you were reading a good book, what are the elements of a good book? There's dynamic tension, there's drama, there's resolution, there's lightness followed by heaviness, followed by concern about how it's all going to work out, right? And any book that doesn't have those elements is really probably not all that interesting. It's got to have length to it. Picture opening a book and saying, once upon a time, the end. It's a little disappointing. Or once upon a time something happened and then it got solved, the end. We are made in the image of God, and this is God's joy to play these things out. But He loves to play them out like we read books. He remembers that He's not really caught in the drama. It's not really Him lost in it. And that's the revitalization, that's the rebirth that the Masters offer us. To see the dream, to see past the dream, to experience the larger reality, the joy that's always there, the love, the beauty, the wholeness. They say that this world, the most beautiful music, the most precious art, the most beautiful sunset, they are but a pale reflection of what we experience in the presence of God, in the inner world. And they're hints, what we feel in them is the reminder of that extraordinary beauty, of that exceptional joy and love that is our home. And what we can do is we can start to reclaim it. But one of the things that Yogananda talked about when he came is we don't have to wait to die to be reborn. And we don't have to wait, and that being a born again isn't a matter of affirmation. If you say Jesus' name and nothing changes inside of you, you're not born again. Being born again is a recognition of a fundamental change. And he said, the way we're really born again, is in the presence of God. And then he reminds us that the Bible says that be still and know. And then how do we become still? We have to go inside with tools and techniques that still the mind, still the body, lift the consciousness, free up all of the things that hold us back. I've told the story about our friend. She was the spiritual director here many, many years ago, Paula, and how she was passing. She had the karma to go through cancer. It was a part of what was going to set her free, and she went through the cancer process. And at one point, she was actually leaving the body. She was done, and she was merging into the divine light. She was entering the tunnel and just releasing herself into the divine light. And she remembered she had shoes on layaway. Honest to God, I swear to you. And woke up in the hospital bed. The thing that pulls us back is that constant commitment to something of this world. And it's Kriya Yoga, the gift of the masters, that gave us energization to revitalize the body, but to give us access to energy so that when we meditate, when we go inside, we're awake, we're dynamically present. And then they gave us the power to concentrate. Hong Sa meditation. The power to take that energy and use it in a focused way so that we could concentrate on the divine. Because he just let us know, reminded us, that meditation is single-pointed concentration on God or one aspect of the divine. One friend of mine, we were joking about the saint with two bodies, and we were talking about it, and one guy said, well, how can you be in two places at once if you can't even be in one place all at the same time? Which is the problem that most of us have. The power of concentration, the power to put ourselves in one place completely. And then he gave us the power to commune through the Om technique, to be in the presence of the divine vibration. All of yoga, all of life, all spiritual aspiration ends in absorption in the Amen, in the divine vibration. And he gave us the power and the tools to go into that. And then he gave us Kriya Yoga. And Kriya Yoga goes into that inner spine, into the place where all those desires, where the yearning for nice shoes is harbored, and all the other desires. And it sets that energy free so that they don't claim us and draw us back to this world against our will. It's not about being in this world, it's about being in this world against our will, or about being in this world committed to things that will never give us the fulfillment we're seeking. And he said, every time you do Kriya, every time you do a deep meditation, if you really let go into the silence, into the presence of God, when you come out of that meditation, you'll find that you have been reborn. And each time you'll find that there's an expansion of consciousness, a self-possession, an awareness of what's really going on, and a capacity to perceive in true perspective the things that are going on. You know, to a master, life and death are nothing. To a master, love and hate are nothing. To a master, all of the dramas of this world, they're just nothing. Because they live in the awareness that it is a story. And they live in the awareness also, and this is a little nugget today, a reminder that everything equals zero. Your greatest aspiration, your greatest fulfillment is going to be balanced by your greatest disappointment and your greatest trouble. It will never be different for anybody. Which doesn't mean that we shouldn't aspire greatly and shouldn't put out tons of energy, but we should do it for the sake of being engaged in the drama, in the life, in the service, but not because we think we're going to get personal fulfillment from it. Personal fulfillment comes only from God, only from being in the inner world. If we take, and remember this is the gift of Christmas, into the midst of Rome-dominated Israel, under oppressive conditions we can only barely conceive of. There was that horrible movie. The Passion of Christ, was that the name of it? You know, the only redeeming part, for me, the only redeeming part of that movie was the fact that it reminded me of just how vulgar and ugly and painful life can be if we get involved at a physical level, if we commit our consciousness to it. Because he really made the most out of that. But that's what Christ was born into. That's what Jesus came into. And he came into it not because he thought he was going to get something valuable out of being there, but because there was no point of reference for people for something else. Think about your own life now, and the times of pain, the times of sadness, the times of being oppressed by your commitment to something unfulfilling and not knowing how to move forward. And the light of Christ comes in and says, look over here, come this way. Change the story. Let go, find something else, commit to something else. And ultimately commit to practices, to things that set you completely free of the drama of this life. And then the rebirth that comes in the new year. This is a great time for going deep in meditation. This is a great time for being inward. And if we go inward during this time, if we rest from the last year of effort, allow it to assimilate, allow it to fall away a little bit, when it's time for the next round of service, the next round of engagement in this world, we'll be ready. We'll have the strength and the regeneration of it. If we don't, we just end up more and more empty, more and more fatigued. This is from Songs of the Soul. This is one of Yogananda's poems, The Garden of the New Year. Think for a moment of that song we sang earlier. Sing songs that none have sung. Think thoughts that never in brain have rung. Walk in paths that none have trod. Weep tears as none have shed for God. Give peace to all to whom none other gave. Claim him your own who is everywhere disclaimed. Love all with love that none have felt. And brave the battle of life with strength unchained. The echoes of the last year, its sorrow and laughter have died away. The song voice of the new year, encouraging, hope imparting, is chanting, refashion life ideally. Abandon the weeds of old worries. From the forsaken garden of the past, garner only seeds of joys and achievements, hopes, good actions and thoughts, all noble desires. Sow in the fresh soil of each new day those valiant seeds. Water and tend them until your life is fragrant with rare flowering qualities. The new year whispers, awaken your habit-dulled spirit to zestful new effort. Rest not till the eternal freedom is won and ever-pursuing karma outwitted. With joy enlivened, unendingly united mind, let us all dance forward hand in hand to reach the halcyon home from whence we shall wander no more. Let's take a moment of silence together.